Welcome back to the workshop. Several years ago, I did a series on my workshop back in North Carolina and some of the different components of it. And I included a video on the Kobalt Workbench. Since then, I've had a lot of questions and a lot of views of that video. So I wanted to go ahead and do a video on the pros and cons of this as I have experienced it over the last 10 years. I bought it back in 2013, and that was before I got into woodworking as I do today. So we had just bought a house, and I needed a workspace to do, just basic around the house stuff, just a place to do it. And I had seen some similar benches at Sears when Sears was still around, and they still sold a lot of Craftsman workbenches, some of those big kind of mechanic benches you might have seen. And there might be some still open that still do that, but not where I live. So I went over to Lowe's and I saw that they had one of these. They still sell them today. I don't know what I paid for it back then. I want to say I paid in the $200 range. Today you can get these things for $509 at my nearest Lowe's here in Knoxville. Price could be different parts of the country or in other countries. But it's a pretty stable bench for my uses, and I'll go into that next. I'm going to suspect that most of the people who buy these things are going to be do-it-yourself homeowners, apartment renters, home renters, just someone who's got a house or a place with a garage or an outbuilding or something like that, and they need a spot to do some work. And it's not specific to mechanics. I think it's a lot of people who do buy these things are mechanics or car hobbyist type people. You also have, just like I said, do-it-yourselfers, as well as machinists, welders, people who build model kits, any of that sort of thing. This is a great bench for. I will say it's not specifically made for woodworking, so I have had a lot of questions about woodworking. It's not really made for woodworking. You can do some woodworking on it, and I'll go into that in a little bit. Otherwise, the features of the bench, you got a top compartment up here, which actually just locks in place. Both of them lock, so that's helpful. You've got a pegboard on the back. You've got a light on the top. Good sturdy particle board top. I'll go into that a little bit. And then we've got 3 drawers right here. Of course, you can put stuff on the bottom. And on the side, there are holes for hooks and an electrical panel for outlets. We'll go into that a little bit. Over here on the side, we have a small surge protector that has 1, 2, 3, 4 outlets. But this one is what controls the light. We'll take this out, the light goes off. So one con is that you only actually get 3, and they're all going through the same outlet. And that, if you've got a lot of things plugged in, you might, blow a circuit. The one that they sell today, this is, from 2013, the ones they sell today have like a whole surge protector or power strip that has possibly more outlets as well as 2 USB connectors. And it has, I think, some better electrical safety components to it. So this is something that you would only see on the older ones. And then down at the bottom, we've got a series of hooks. The hooks do come, I believe, with the set, and they've got holes, so it's 5 hooks. The idea is you can put your rags on, because, again, this is primarily selling to mechanics and auto, car, hobbyists, that sort of thing. I use it for squeegees. I've got a couple squeegees down there, and sometimes I'll put a rag down here, but I have other places I keep my rags, so I just kind of leave those open. This comes in a box, so it comes in a box that's probably about this thick and pretty long, and so you got to get that in the back of your car or truck. I had a car, and I put it in the back of the car, and I don't know how I got it in there, but that's not important. So you do have to put it together. It's completely disassembled, and you have to put it all together, but all the pieces have numbers, and so that's helpful to work with. I will say, I had read some reviews when I got this, and several people had said that, this is not made in the United States. It's made somewhere else, and the holes were not drilled correctly for the nuts, or for the screws, and people had problems. So they suggested going out and buying some taps to help, put some thread in the holes. I found that to be very helpful. So these are 2 threads I bought from Irwin. Doesn't matter the brand. It's a 4mm and a 6mm. And so I bought these. Now, when I bought this at Lowe's, they didn't even sell tap equipment. So I had to buy these from a separate hardware store. And so that's a major con. If you have to buy additional taps to put something together, and that's kind of, it should be, you should be able to just assemble it from the box. And so I thought it was odd that I had to, that's a con. Another thing to note, okay, so this is the light. It's okay. I have fluorescent lights in here, and I had fluorescent lights in my old shop. So it's nice for what you're working on right here, but don't consider this just for what you're doing. A couple of additional things. These racks, hooks, any of these containers, all these things that are holding the tools up, I bought separately. They did not come with this. I got them from Blue Hawk, which is another Lowe's brand. I had a pack of those things. Additionally, in my drawers, I've got this blue material to help keep things from rolling around a lot. That is also a Blue Hawk item that I bought separately. It does not come with this. So otherwise, you just put your tools in, they roll around, whatever. It's your, that's your thing. These magnets, this is just stuff that I've added over the years that obviously doesn't come with it either. Let's talk about the top, this actual top surface real quick. Now, I haven't had this out probably for years. This is just, probably 1/2 inch particle board. Some of these do come with a maple top, so if you can get the maple top, do try to do that. But for, 10 years, this has done pretty well. It's never broken or cracked. I've got a lot of stuff on here. I've got oil a lot of places. I get water on here all the time. You got water spots everywhere. If you want something that's clean and stays clean all the time, don't get this top. Definitely try to get one of the maple tops or make your own. A lot of people do make their own, so that's an option. Okay, looking inside, you've got a brace here, the end, and then you have the drawers. So if you have any idea of bolting something to the top of this, you've got maybe this much space between the bottom of the top and the beginnings of the drawer. So there is space to bolt like a vise or something like that on if you would like to do that. I have a vise now that is on another bench that could go here, but I don't want it taking up room because it's already a small workbench to begin with. But, everyone has a different reason for having a workbench. Okay, I'm going to address use of this for woodworking. This is not really meant for woodworking, but people do. This is a woodworking channel, and so people do ask about that. It can be used for woodworking, but it just depends on what it is you're trying to do. I do a lot of hand tool woodworking, and so I use bench hooks, and bench hooks work very well here. In fact, when I started woodworking, I just had this and a table, and that was it. And I used the table with my Schoberg Smart Vise, and I'd use bench hooks on here. And I was working small stuff, just making little boxes, that sort of thing, not large. I'm not making large things, and even the large things I do make, I make on my woodworking bench. And so this is kind of if I'm doing something on the woodworking bench and I need to step aside and do a little sawing or something, I'll do that over here. Let's say you want to plane a board. This just isn't set up for that. You can be creative. What I'm clamping this to is only 1 inch thick. And so you're still, now see, you really need something that is holding this thing down, and there's no place to really clamp here because you've got these drawers. And the drawers are locked in place. And so they're really not meant to be removed. I've got this clamped down, but that's not going to be enough because when I go to this, it's going to want to move around. And so, you could say, well, that's the clamp, but it's not meant to be just clamped. It's not down enough to this is just not safe and it's not good. So, I mean, if this is all you had, this is not ideal. Plus, you've got yourself in a place where you're just leaning over and you really want to be working with your stuff. If your board is long enough, you could ideally clamp it off on the other end, but again, I wouldn't pay $500 for this thing for woodworking to do something like that. I would preserve this for another bench entirely, and this bench would be used for DIY stuff and that sort of thing. If you're planning to do woodworking, I don't think that this bench is what's required for that. If you're a woodworker and you need to plane boards or saw or that sort of thing, I suggest trying to get something else like a Works Pegasus or a Pony, or there's different kinds of portable benches. The Workmate, if you can find a Workmate. I know the new ones are not as good as the ones they used to make, but any of those types of portable benches are much better for those types of things. I've got a video on the Works Pegasus that shows how you can use that. But you can use all those different kind of benches. This is not an endorsement for Lowe's or the Kobalt brand. It's just my honest opinion and review of the Kobalt Workbench. Thank you for watching.